My name is Melinda Coletta. This is my husband Phil Griffin. Together we're Professor Chef and we teach you how to play with your food. So tonight, or this afternoon, whatever, we're going to teach you how to make pizza and pizza dough. So what we're going to do is...
We're making a thin crust Neapolitan pizza.
Okay, yeah, thin crust Neapolitan pizza. We're going to back into some of this information, but let's just get this started. Right now this is 500 grams of King Arthur all-purpose flour. We have instant, rapid rise, or bread machine yeast. I'm also going to put in some salt, but I put it in opposite of the yeast. And then I'm going to put in our water. So basically all the people in the pool all at the same time. I'm going to put this on my stand mixer, and we're going to mix it. And once it starts to form a ball, I'm going to add olive oil. Now the reason I don't want to add the olive oil first is because I don't want the olive oil to coat the flour and not let the water penetrate the flour. I want as much of the water and flour together as possible at first. Now, my husband hates when I do this, and he's right, but I just kind of like to help it along a little bit by pressing it down with the spatula.
The safe way of doing that would be to shut the machine off, lowering it, and let it pick up.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway, so as soon as that dough ball forms, we're going to be adding the olive oil. You can take that up to the side now.
Well, the reason why we add the olive oil before we add the water before we add the olive oil is because water and oil do not like each other. If we had mixed them together, the oil would not get absorbed into the flour.
And this is the perfect time to explain that men never listen to women, because I just said that. But anyway.
I'm going to put the oil in now.
Go ahead, put the oil in now.
Is that enough, you think?
Yeah.
All right.
So we're going to let this go for 2 minutes at a low speed. Then we're going to increase the speed, and we're going to go for 5 minutes. After that, we're going to lower it back down for 2 minutes. So that has given an opportunity for the gluten to develop in the dough. After the dough is mixed and we're done, we're going to after it's kneaded, we're going to let it sit for 20 minutes. I can't stress how important this is. Anytime you add water or a liquid to flour, let that batter sit for about 20 minutes. It will make all the difference in the world. So that's for your pancakes, your crepes, your...
any type of dough except for a cake batter, cookies,
muffins,
biscuits, like we did last night with baking powder biscuits. And let's talk about yeast.
Okay. So we only use bread machine, instant, or rapid rise. They're all three the same. The reason we like to use this is because it takes the stupid out of stuff. With active dry yeast, you need to add it to water and do something called bloom it. With this, that step is alleviated, and that's why I could add all of the people in the pool all at the same time.
One thing you need to remember is we put the salt on a separate side because salt and yeast do not like each other. So if you are blooming yeast and it calls for sugar and you get salt in the recipe, do not mix the sugar and the salt together in the hot water because the yeast will never work. Okay, let's talk about flour.
Okay.
So we're using all-purpose flour. The reason why we're using all-purpose flour is this dough is going to come out nice and silky. It's going to be easy to stretch. Flour comes in different degrees of gluten. From pastry flour to cake flour, all-purpose flour, bread flour, high gluten flour, and extra strength high gluten flour. If you've ever tried making pizza with the dough you get at the store, you go to pull it and it stretches back. Pull it and stretches back. That's because they make the dough with a high gluten flour. So there's a lot of gluten in there, so that means it's got a lot of elasticity. It's good to hold the dough. It's really stable, but it's not good for making pizza. Now my wife has issues. That might be her biggest issue,
Yes,
but
you are.
the one with flour is she likes to use something called Caputo.
Caputo is the brand. Tipo 00 is the I guess make of it, grind. So Caputo flour will give you a beautiful silky texture on your pizza dough. Yeah, cut off. But it's very expensive, and we go through about 50 pounds of flour every 2 or 3 months, and we buy King Arthur in a big bag, and we spend $15 on it for 50 pounds of flour. I really can't justify the extra expense of the Caputo flour. But if you don't live with my husband, then you can, by all means, do that. So we're going to talk about how you can change your regular oven into a brick pizza oven. This is fire brick, okay? This is a half thickness of a fire brick. The reason that this works better than your pizza stone is this does not get clogged with oil. So when you put your pizza on your pizza stone, you're going to notice after time that is going to get like a black stain on it. That's all the olive oil or oil getting clogged in the pores, and it just doesn't get out. Steam makes crusty bread. So what happens with this fire brick is the steam from the pizza dough is released and it gets wicked away by this fire brick, making a crispier crust. So what we have in our oven, and you're going to see that in a little bit, we have a specially designed rack that we keep all of our fire bricks on. You don't have to do that. Just put them on the bottom rack. Not on the bottom floor, but the bottom rack of your oven. Put about maybe 4 to 6, and that should be it.
All right. So I'm going to show you how to make a pizza. My wife is going to talk to you about proofing the pizza and when you should make the dough. All right. This is the dough that we have. It makes 6 5-ounce dough balls. This will make about an 8-inch pizza. Put the flour on the board, grab your dough, and put it on the upside down on the flour. Get the moisture out, then you flip it over. You're going to flatten it out. All right, so while I'm flattening it out, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put a crimping on the crust. You always want to put your crust in first. If you put your crust in first, you have a better chance of making a round pizza.
Also, if you start with a round dough ball, you got a good chance at making it. I like to say this looks like a big ravioli.
I'm picking up some more flour. And now I'm going to pinch in that crust. Now that the crust is pinched in, you can now stretch the dough. The way you stretch the dough is you make a C or you use your knuckles, and you go in there and you start pulling it. Now if you have a hard time doing that, what you can do is actually take it, hold the dough, and you can actually pull it. And this dough is so easy to work with. We've even had little kindergarten kids working with this dough. One way you can check to see if the dough is working right is you hold it up to the light, and if you can see through it, you know the dough is good to go. And that's one thing, way you're telling that the dough has been developed enough, is called the Windowpane Method. If you take a piece of dough and you stretch it and it doesn't tear, you know you've developed it long enough. So my wife has now put cornmeal on the peel. To that, we're going to add our sauce.
And we
now,
only
we make the sauce. We'll back into it for a second. A little bit of olive oil, pinch of salt, and whole oregano. You work with whole oregano. You put it in the palm of your hand, grind it up.
And you should do this with any dried spice or herb that you have. Always wake it up.
Mix it all around. 2-ounce ladle sauce, and it goes.
We don't like to put too much sauce on this because what happens is if you put too much sauce on, you go to pull the pizza peel back and the sauce goes all over your oven.
All right, so some mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
This is not the homemade stuff. So, all right.
What the hell did you use to grind that stuff with?
One of your favorite grinders.
And that's why it looks like that?
Yeah, it's because I didn't use mine. I used yours.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're going to put it in the oven. We're going to make sure it's moving. Okay, it's moving.
Gonna get out of the way.
In the oven it goes. I'm going to throw another little thing in there. We'll talk about that in a second. That's going to go in the oven also. All right. So, let's talk about the dough.
Oven's at 500.
Oven's at 500.
Right. So now what we're talking about is the dough. We made these dough balls. We made it ahead of time. Yeast does two things. Yeast makes CO2 and it makes alcohol. The longer you can let something ferment, the better it's going to taste. So what we did is we put these in the refrigerator. We proof these up overnight. Most of your pizza places, when they make the dough, they're proofing the dough a day ahead of time. It's going to give it more flavor. We also keep it in a container like this so we can see it, and we can see that the keeps the moisture trapped. Now, the tomatoes that we use, I had to can out.
Yeah, because we're not promoting brands. Okay?
I'm not promoting a brand.
All right.
All right. So I will cover my hand on the label.
They're not paying us.
Right. We are using San Marzano tomatoes. Okay. They have to say certified, or they say over here on the side DOP. They are whole clone tomatoes, and the reason why we use those is they come from the Mount Vesuvius region of Italy. Okay. They're really, really sweet. All we do is puree that, and we have a nice homemade sauce. All right. Now, the other thing I'm going to make is what I just put in the oven earlier, is I'm going to take another dough ball, and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to roll this out. Have anybody ever had a pizza? Where'd you put it?
I didn't put it anywhere. You put it there.
If you ever had a pizza and you didn't have sauce on one of the corners, it blew up like a balloon. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to roll this out. You're going to put it in the oven as is. Because we put it in the oven as is, it's going to blow up like a balloon. Because it blows up like a balloon, let's stop and think what we're going to have. Anybody ever have anything that's big and round and it's got hollow center?
A marshmallow?
No. All right. How about a pita bread? We're going to be making pita bread. So this is going to be turned into a pita bread. Whenever you make a pizza or you're making anything, you always want to put it on the peel. If you do not put it in the peel, all right, when you go to put it in the oven, it's not going to work. You put a little bit of cornmeal down there so it slides. Now, when it comes over to the oven, I want to quickly open the oven door. You can see the pita bread has risen. Isn't that neat? All right, and the pizza's almost ready to come out. All right, give it a couple more minutes. The oven's at 500 degrees. Keep it as hot as possible. All right.
If your oven goes up to 550, put it at 550. And we did warm this up for about an hour prior to making it. You don't have to go that long, but we did. So.
Right. So now that this dough has been made, we let it sit for 20 minutes. You're going to take it off. You're going to cut it into...
Well, that's not...
So the dough is made. It's all one dough ball. You take and cut it in half, cut it into thirds, or you can weigh it out. And you get a dough ball that looks like this. If you cut it and you use it a lot, what's going to happen is you're going to take the pieces... You're going to stick the pieces underneath the dough, and you're going to tuck them in.
So what he's talking about is if you have any extra dough, this is the way to
You're going to make a dough ball.
it.
So you can turn around and take and put the piece on the bottom. You're going to fold it in half. Going to fold it in half again. And you want to keep on folding it in half until you end up with a nice round looking dough ball. So this is the difference in the dough. As you can see, this dough has been left out at room temperature for about 20 minutes. Plus it proofed in the refrigerator. So this dough has got a lot of air in it, or CO2. This is what the dough ball looks like when you start out. All right. I think the stuff is ready to come out of the oven.
All right, let's try it.
All right. If you do not have a pizza peel, a cookie tray works with some tongs. We'll do the pita bread first. With the pita bread, one thing you do not want to do is you do not want to poke your hand in that because that's a lot of steam. The pizza could have gone in a little bit longer.
Oh, let us check. Let us check.
So now we'll cut the pita bread. I gotta be careful with this knife because when Melinda gets pissed off, it's not a good thing. All right, so we have our pita bread. Doesn't that look awesome? Look at the steam.
Careful not to burn yourself.
And it smells really good.
So that's a kind of a fun thing to do when you got kids you put the pita bread in the oven, turn your oven light on, and let them watch it grow. It's kind of fun.
All right. There is an episode of Julia Child who's taking red quarry tile,
The tile that you would put on a kitchen floor.
put them in a pizza oven,
No.
a toaster oven,
Toaster oven.
and has made pita bread.
So,
All right, let's get the pizza out.
yeah, it may be still a little bit. Yeah, she needs to be done a little bit longer, but that's okay.
So Melinda and I don't agree on anything, of course.
Yeah, so that's
It's very light.
We have too light. That needs to be cooked more. But because we're at a time constraint here and blah blah blah, we're gonna go for it anyway.
It smells really good.
Yeah, but it's just not that crispy crunchy, so yeah, it's nah. But anyway, you get the idea. If you let it stay in there a little bit longer, it'll be fine.
If you don't have pizza stones, a cast iron pan flipped upside down will work extremely well. It does a good job of retaining the heat.
Yeah, that works as well. So.
All right, I think we covered everything.
All right, tomorrow we're gonna make zapelas.
Zapelas.
So join us again at 5 o'clock, and hopefully we won't kill each other by
And
then.
we're probably going to be doing this again next week. So send us what you think we wanted to talk about next week on Monday through Friday.
Yeah, we're gonna probably make gnocchis.
Gnocchis on Friday, but next week we had to come up with some suggestions.
Yeah, so just email us or Facebook us, whatever you feel like. Ta-ta for now.
Bye, manja.